Well, the family didn't believe it at first. I still kind of think they're not 100% sure. Leela went from a person that was always happy, quiet, humble, nothing to say, into cussing. At first it was funny because nobody was used to her cussing and she didn't know how to cuss. But you know the hardest thing about it is that when other people are involved, they really remember the way you were. So they expect for you to still be able to do the same things. Other people think, oh, well, she's fine. She's fine. She remembers better than me. So you get that a lot. I'd say, hey, just leave her alone. We bought a BMW over in Germany.
A Volvo over in Germany.
Yeah. Tell you, man, we did some fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Nice one. Beauty.
Well, dealing with the diagnosis and looking forward, I think to stay somewhat positive, I have to look backwards of the things we have already done. Before this disease, we were able to travel a lot. We were planning on doing a lot of traveling when we retired.
How's your coffee?
Wonderful.
Even though I want to travel, more travel has become difficult. We went to Florida not long ago, and we cut our vacation short because she just was out of her element. She wanted to come home. The average lifespan for somebody in our situation is 4 to 8 years. She was diagnosed 3 years ago. So I don't want to dwell on that. We know it's ahead, so let's just, like I said, live for the day. I don't want this disease to define who I am.
Hello. All right, wait a second.
Okay.
Do I put this like this? We try to make sure that we're exercising, walking the dogs, doing as much as we can. I mean, working in the yard together. That has been amazing. You know, planting the plants, watching the things grow, enjoying the time together.
It is peaceful and it's relaxing, you know. It still takes a lot of sweat and work.
But he's good at it. He's really good. We didn't know this before. Look at the skill set we've discovered.
I have left the oven on, I've left the stove on, so I have to be very fastidious about things, constantly checking behind myself. Some days are clear, and then I'll get disrailed where suddenly it's like everything's just jumbled up. It's extremely frustrating.
I am the partner. So my job is that every day, he's safe, we're safe, and every day should be the very best it can be. Now, doesn't mean that we don't have times we're sad. I mean, this is a diagnosis that's pretty stinky. But the bottom line is every day needs to be the best it can be. I think we might end up with a
No, there you go. It's not making it to the ground.
His mornings are so much different than his afternoons. And so we work with that. We do the things in the morning, the stuff that needs to get done.
I took him out every day. I felt like he needed to see the outdoors, hear the birds, see the flowers, see the trees. He still was more comfortable. He was quieter.
The cardinal rule is never argue with a person with Alzheimer's disease because you're going to lose the argument. So you have to divert their attention. When my wife would say, I want to go home, she didn't necessarily want to go to a structure per se, but she wanted to go to a place of comfort where she didn't feel what was going on in her head. So I found that when she got anxious like that and I want to go home, to distract her, I would take her out and put her in the car. And we lived 1.5 miles from the ocean front. I'd ride up and down and she'd look at the lights and just think she was in seventh heaven. And we'd get back to the house and she would look up and say, oh, thank you, you brought me home. And that was a place we just left 15 minutes prior, but it was enough in her mind to calm her down and divert her attention.
Well, my grandfather, he was used to eating at 5 o'clock when he was younger. And as his dementia got worse, my mom would frequently not get home till 6. So at 5 o'clock, it would start. Where's supper? Why aren't we having supper? I need supper. Why the hell can't I get supper? This is ridiculous. And he'd get really adamant. So I learned to cook so that there'd be food on the table at 5 o'clock. I've got to figure out how to cook a couple things so he'll have it. And then I could give it to him when he wanted it, and then we didn't have a battle.
If you can focus on the things that the person is still able to do, you can suddenly realize all the opportunities that there are. So, for example, he remembers Brooklyn. He remembers that he grew up across the street from Ebbets Field.
Ebbets Field.
We decided to make a story about my dad's memories of Brooklyn because he was suddenly come to life. We sat together and I just typed it as he said it.
I was the middle child.
Most of the time when I'm with him, we'll actually sit and look at that book together. It's less about conversation now, where he is in the disease process. It's about listening to some music together or watching something. It's about painting. He was an artist as well.
Something like the colors here, right? That they're there. So I brought some things to finish, and I got another book, too, to look at. We were working on this one. When I was growing up, my dad and I did a lot of hands-on type projects. So now that he's here and still has the ability to do some art, I'm attempting to see what he can do. I've done a little bit of coloring with him and a little bit of watercolor, but I think there's probably more I could do, and I'd like to do it soon before he loses that ability altogether.
Branches off.
With something to focus on to do together like this, I'm not having to think of questions to ask him to engage conversation, and then him being frustrated not knowing how to answer me. So there's a connection we can make, even unspoken, just out of the intuitiveness that we have in the arts, I think.
Ain't nobody gonna blow it out. I'm gonna let it shine. Ain't nobody gonna blow it out. I'm gonna let it shine.
The other thing with the arts is fun for all of us is that we're all musical. Our whole family has interest in music, guitars, piano, singing. So it's one way that we can all share something and have it be really meaningful and powerful and encouraging.
Yay us! The last time I tried doing a puzzle with her was right after her birthday in February, and it didn't go that well. She got really frustrated. She didn't do any of that today. It was more problem solving. But that was very unusual, but we went with it. It was great, and we managed to finish the entire puzzle. That is rare.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That is amazing. Yay! You did it! Do you like your picture? Mm-hmm. You know, my motto for this disease is have no expectations, because I had no idea what was going to happen today, but it was like the best day ever. You know, she used to repeat everything all the time, and she's definitely not doing that now. And, you know, she's barely talking, you know, most of the time. But today she said a lot making the puzzle, and so that was unusual, you know, too. So you never really know. But Sunday she might have said 20 words, maybe. That's hard watching the words dwindle. But yeah, when she said amazing today, that was amazing. I hadn't heard that word in, years. And I also loved watching her look at the pictures in her yearbook and still being able to recognize a couple of classmates. I think it's just one of those trade-offs. She recognized a few people, but she still doesn't recognize us.
Yeah, there's two right there.
The other thing that was a little surprising today, her walk is much less confident. She's really doing that shuffle, which is hard to see. She was very uneasy, seemed to be trying to get from, the kitchen to the bathroom and that kind of thing. So yeah, interesting.